My name is Rocky Kistner. I am 55, and I'm a neighbor, Byron's.
Hey, my name is Byron Marinovich. My age is 48. Of course, we're here in Buras in South Plaquemines, and I just met Rocky recently. Seemed like a nice fella.
So, what was Buras like at its heyday? When was its heyday, and what was it like?
I would say probably right before the hurricane. We were really doing good here. Not to sound like a big town, but we had a shoe store. We had 2 large grocery stores, 2 banks, maybe 5 or 6 different churches, and there's a high school here and all of that. And all of a sudden, all this is gone. Me and my wife came here and stayed in a tent like 6 months after the storm, and we set up a little shack and put some tents, some little tarps and stuff out for people to gather under. We came back, I guess, because you can do so much to make a living. You can work in the oil field, you can work on crew boats, you can work on fish, oysters, shrimp. Even our crackheads are fat around here. Nobody's going hungry around this place, I promise you.
So the BP oil disaster, when that well first blew, what was going through your mind?
I'd worked for Chevron for 17 years, so it wasn't a big surprise to me that something like this would happen. And it isn't a surprise to me that it's still going on, and to me, I think a lot of it's been covered up and lied about.
Like what?
The amounts, the volumes, for one thing. You would call in and spill and say, look, I've spilled so much oil in the water. So you'd call in an amount and then be like, are you sure about that? Yeah, I'm sure. Well, are you really sure about that? Well, let me go look at it again. So, you might remeasure a little bit. It might not look so dark after all. So that's the mindset with this anyway, because naturally the Coast Guard or whoever comes in and finds an oil company. So they want to report less.
Now, first of all, tell me what your business is and what you do, and then
we've got an oyster bar. Just to give you an idea, since May 29th, we haven't had raw oysters in the bar at all. So we have an oyster bar restaurant we have open with no oysters. And I also have a gun store. The shotgun shell part and all that is all actually down a little bit. The restaurant end's actually done a lot better. We've been really busy with all these people coming down from BP and all the mineral management service, and Lord knows the people coming in, Coast Guard and everything else, environmental groups, the media people. We've had everybody from the New Delhi News to, Reuters in here, So that's actually helped pick business up. My big concern's been what's going to happen a year and a half, 2 years from now, what's underwater, You hear about these dispersants, and I think they did a good job with the dispersant because they dispersed the news media is what they did.
Here you are sitting in one of the most environmentally diverse and rich resource area of the whole Gulf, yet you're also suffering some of the worst consequences of this.
Sure we are. Everybody sucks this place out with a straw and leaves nothing here. And that's the way I've always kind of seemed like it is. And people have accepted that here. I don't know, I'm not saying they're ignorant or they're complacent. I don't know what it is. And after Katrina, we've seen so much of that with, we sleeping on the ground here in tents, and, it's like nobody really cares. They tell you, well, don't make a fire. What? It's wintertime. You mind if I take some of the pieces of my house and set them on fire so I can keep my wife warm, since you haven't brought me a place to live and nothing to eat? But we've also kind of accepted this is the way it is because we've seen the same thing now with BP. All these false promises, and we know better. You're not going to bring us a FEMA trailer for 6 months. We sleeping outside. We understand that now. So BP would come in with these grandiose schemes and moves, and we'd say, look, okay, whatever. I knew better.
Do you think the rest of the country understands what's going on now?
I'm not going to be rude, but I don't know if they really care. We went to a museum in North Mississippi, and it's one part of the museum, it's about the Mississippi River. And one part of the museum actually shows a flooded house. And I went to this museum maybe 6 months after the hurricane. I just stood there. My wife had to actually move me because I was having a little conniption fit there because it looked just like our house. And I'm standing looking. As I'm walking off, a man walks up, and he says, that looks like them people down there in New Orleans and all. And he tells his wife. And he said, you think them people be smart enough to move or something? I couldn't help. My wife said, don't. I said, no, I got to. I said, how did you get here, sir? He said, what? I said, how'd you get here? Did you walk here? And he said, no, I drove. I said, that SUV I seen outside the nice one, the red one? He said, yeah. I said, it runs on gasoline? Yeah, of course. I said, well, that gasoline more than likely came from right close to my house, and people like me that work in these oil fields provided that gasoline for your vehicle to get you to drive here in the first place. And that's something you might want to remember. That's why us stupid Cajuns or coon asses are still down there. And probably the shrimp you got on your plate and the fish you got in your freezer, all of that came from there too. So that's something people need to remember also, how important this place is.
Right. So this place isn't just going to wash away?
I don't think so. It'll be a long time before it does. We're not going anywhere else. I'll be back in a tent. You see me at a hurricane, I'll be back here again, I promise you.